Hello there, it's time for Pop-Up Realtor. And what I just realized was that in spite of my simulcast, it wasn't working. What do I mean by simulcast? Okay, I was on Instagram and thought I was on Facebook Live at the same time. I was not. So I'm going to repeat my Facebook Live presentation today. One of the advantages of this app is I can actually look at one camera instead of two, so I'm looking right at you. Anyway, this is Pop-Up Realtor. My name is Stewart Fournier. I'm a 23-year veteran of the Los Angeles real estate market. I come on periodically to talk about real estate, to talk about what's going on in the market, specifically what's going on today, what you should know about when you're going out and looking at property this weekend, what the market is doing in terms of fluctuation. If you're reading the newspaper or you're going online or you're paying attention to the news, trust me, that information is 1 to 2, 3, and maybe even longer. In terms, I'm checking my mic here. In terms of being old information. And so that's what we like to talk about. I like to address any subject with regard to real estate on the program here. However, the purpose of the program is to keep you up to date. I like to do this every 1 to 2 weeks. Try to do it every week, but that's not always possible. So if you'd like to talk about any particular subject or you have a specific question, Randy and I, my wife, have worked for 23 years in this business in the Los Angeles market. We specifically cover most of the West Side, even more dynamically in Manhattan, Hermosa, and Redondo, Torrance, and PV areas. But if you have a question about any location in Los Angeles, I'm happy to address that as well. I am a 67-year-old veteran of Los Angeles, so I know it like the back of my hand. Today what we're going to talk about outside of the market itself is what you should do when you go to an open house. Now, you may say, Stewart, that doesn't sound very exciting. What are you going to tell me about going to an open house I don't already know? And the truth of the matter is that I am going to tell you 2 things that I think will benefit you, because I've seen so much advice about how to handle an open house that I completely disagree with. So I'm going to give you 2 rules that I hope will help you in the dynamic of getting the most information, getting the most leverage in terms of potentially then negotiating something with the house that you are in the short period of time that you're going to be there. I tell this to my clients all the time. Our 16-page contract for an offer alone recognizes that you probably are going to be spending anywhere from $500,000 to $3 to $4 or $5 million on a property that you've been in for a total of 20 minutes. And so what do you really know about the property? How are you protected in terms of making the choice to move forward and obtaining that property? And that's in fact why the contract is long as it is. But what I'm going to talk about today specifically is what you should do while you're at the open house, so you can save yourself a lot of time, so you can save yourself a lot of anguish about what you don't know as opposed to what you should know by the time you actually take the step to make an offer. So let's talk about that. Well, let's talk about the market real quick. The market has not changed too much. If you look at, go to my Instagram Live feed, Stewart Fournier and Randy at Instagram Live, you'll see many, many weeks of what's been going on in the market. So since I'm on Facebook Live, which I haven't done, this is only the second one that we've done on Facebook, I'll talk about that just for a second here. What we've seen is a tremendous increase in buyers coming off the couch, realizing that the interest rates are not going to change significantly, realizing that the interest rates, although they were at an extremely low rate for an awfully long time, much longer than we as realtors even anticipated. In fact, the last year or 2, we kind of gave up and just decided we wouldn't say you should appreciate these interest rates because they had been around for a while and they were sticking. So we kind of stopped saying, be careful. But now, last year, as well, interest rates have reached these anywhere from 5 to 8% in rates, and that's wreaking a lot of havoc on the market. However, the change in the market is that there's a tremendous amount of buyers out there now who have realized that the interest rate is not going to go down to 2 and 3% anymore. They've realized that they've lost almost a year's worth of rental uh, payments that they could have been putting down in a house, or they could have bought a house with, and they're not in a position to want to do that anymore. So they are realizing that the 2 and 3% interest rate was something that was not steady. Those of us who have been around for a long time realized that it was going to take some time for them to realize that, but they're realizing it now. Now, the problem is that many people have gotten those, obtained those interest rates, and they're not interested in selling. So the only reason people are selling, and I heard it described today, are the 5 Ds, and that's divorce, diamonds, diapers, death, did I get all 3? And diplomas. Outside of that, nobody wants to sell. Why would they? They have a very low interest rate. So we have this incredible imbalance between the amount of buyers that are out there, no matter what the price range is. It can be 500,000, it can be 10 million. It doesn't matter. There are just way more buyers than sellers out there, and that situation is going to stay in the same position for a very long time. We are planned out in Los Angeles, and more people are coming to Los Angeles. In spite of the headlines that say that people are leaving, and they are, these are people that are cashing out, but the people that are coming into Los Angeles simply have more money. And it's just simply more expensive to live here. And we are as far as I'm concerned, one of the major centers and one of the major attractions for those investments. The statistic I saw today was that 27% of deals are cash. So cash drives up the price as well, because obviously with cash you don't have a bank, and when you don't have a bank, you don't have a check system to make sure that prices are checked by an entity that allows for loans. So the fact that a cash offer comes by and it's sold publishes a house at a specific price, which brings up the value of the entire property. Another discussion at another time. I'll get into that. But what I wanted to talk about today, so let's finish up with the market. The market is not changed too much in the last 6 months. It probably won't change that much more, certainly by the end of the year, and certainly during the election year, it's not going to change that much. I think we'll be very steady. Again, that's not a prediction as a professional. That's just my own sense of my experience as a professional during the last few years, during the last 23 years, I should say. And I do believe that things will pretty much stay the same. I think sellers are in a terrific position if they have to sell. You are going to get top dollar for your house. Another statistic I read today, which kind of blew me away, I thought it was more like 30 to 40 days, but across the nation, certainly I know what it is here in the South Bay, but across the nation, it's actually 20 days to sell your house right now. That's the average days on market for the United States. That is phenomenal, believe me. I just can't get over how impressive that is. So that's the market. If you are thinking about selling, there is a strategy to understand how the market works and how you can get the most for your house. But I will tell you that if you do price your house correctly at fair market value, your house is going to be sold fairly quickly. Okay, let's talk about open house. What do you do when you go to an open house? What's the typical advice I hear all the time that drives me crazy? And the advice is, the first thing you want to do when you go to an open house is play it cool. Don't let anybody know you're too excited about the house. Don't let anybody know that you're going to give that advantage away. And in my opinion, that is such a waste of time, and I'll tell you why. There are tools there are two phases of a negotiation process respective of the open house and then actually sitting down with your agent and making an offer. There are two different worlds, there are two different circumstances, there are two different sets of understanding. So when you go to a house, I actually encourage you to be as friendly as you can to the listing agent, because the listing agent is dying to give you information that is not on the flyer, that is not on Zillow, that's not on the MLS. They're dying to give you information that that the seller, doesn't necessarily want to broadcast in an overall market, but more so only to those that are actually interested in the property. Because the first step is obviously to see the property. So if there's any advantage to give information to the buyer, it's going to happen when the realtor recognizes that you have a legitimate buyer, that a buyer is interested. Otherwise, they are not going to spend the time to beg to give information. Most realtors at open houses are dying to give you inside information about the house itself, information again that is not being advertised, information that will help you in the short run to get started in the process. So acting excited about a house, acting enthusiastically, asking questions is not going to hurt you. What it is going to do is give you ammunition for negotiation down the line. And it gives you ammunition for negotiation down the line because you've taken the effort to show that you're interested. And if that realtor sees that you're interested, there's going to be much more useful information that's given between the two of you. Now, you may say, well, doesn't that kind of take away your sense of negotiation when you, I don't know why I'm tripping up here, when you go back to decide? And the answer is no, because when you sit down with your realtor, as I said before, and you go over what the options are, and the realtor that you're working with will help you very much in deciding what your options are, giving what the information that you got, and then you draw up a plan. And that's a totally different discussion. It's a totally different, excuse me, tongue tying today. Let me let that siren go by. I'm here in downtown Hermosa. Okay, that's an absolutely different conversation because you have a lender involved. You have the situation wherein you may have other houses that you're considering. You may have to sell your house in order to buy. So the discussion and the negotiation process for you gets started in a whole different atmosphere, in a whole different set of circumstances. And the fact that a realtor may have gone back to his buyer and said, I think I have one that's interested, is not something that works out of your favor. It works in your favor, because then people get excited and then people start communicating. And that's when things begin to happen for your benefit. So I think I beat that one to death. Be happy to go over that with you even more so in your situation. Feel free to give me a call and I'll be happy to talk to you about it. Hermosa is not burning down. Thank you. That wasn't a prop. So feel free to give me a call or Randy a call anytime we go over that with you. Okay, second rule. Second rule is if you become excited about a house and you think this is maybe the one, or you're going to put it on your top 3 list or top 2, come out of the house. Come out of the house for a good period of time and wait 5 to 10 minutes and then go back into the house. Now, when you go back into the house, guess what? You're going to see an entirely different house. Our senses, our sense of depth, our sense of space changes every time we go into a house, especially if we haven't been in the house before. There's a reason that our offer is 16 pages long. And I tell clients this all the time. I tell clients whether it's a $500,000 house or it is a $5 million house or it is a $28 million house. It doesn't matter. you are at a loss because, I'm sorry, you are at a disadvantage because you've only been there for 20, 30, 45 minutes. And it's all about the guesswork in your brain. It's all about what I don't know. And so that's one of the reasons the contract covers that aspect of what you don't know. But more importantly, we're talking about open houses today. You want to get that sense of space. You want to start placing your furniture in. When you walk into a house and you see, for example, that it's well staged, that's terrific, that's nice. It gives you a sense of elegance, it gives you a sense of comfort. But what you want to do on the second entry to the house is eliminate all that out of your mind. Take away the couch, take away the furniture, any furniture, take away the artwork, take away the sculptures, take away the pictures on the wall. Take away the place settings, whatever it might be, erase all of that. Take away the table with the settings. Take that all out of your mind and look at the walls only. Because it's only then that you'll get a sense of what you're going to bring into the house, a sense of whether that's going to make you happy, whether that's going to make you comfortable, whether that's going to make you want to move forward. So beware of your sensory perceptions on the very first look. It's all emotional in the very beginning, especially if you like it. Cut down on that part of it by going out of the house and back into it. And that'll give you a better sense of whether this is a house for you. So that's it for me. This is Pop-Up Realtor. If you have any questions for me, I did have an actual link there on the right. I think it's the right, I'm not sure. For you to talk with me. Again, we're talking about sensory perception, right? There's a lot of sensory perception on these broadcasts, and I'm just getting used to it. But you can feel free to answer a question anytime on Pop-Up Realtor. Even if you're saying this for the second, and I'm not live with you right now, please feel free to leave a comment in the comment section. I'll be happy to address it in the next Pop-Up Realtor. It's called Pop-Up Realtor because I don't necessarily have time to do this as often as I'd like. I do it once, at least once every couple of weeks, hopefully at least once a week, and that's my goal. But I'm happy to steer you along in any way that I can with regard to the process, with regard to the market, or any question you have about real estate, income real estate as well. Randy and I, over the course of the last 20 years, have dealt with all aspects of real estate. We've dealt with new builders, we've dealt with upgrading, downgrading, foreclosures, short sales. We've done it all in our last 23 years. So please feel free to reach out anytime, and I'd be happy to answer any questions. That's it. See you next time on Pop-Up Realtor.